Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Another big day today. Avalanche play tonight. We have the draft tomorrow. So this is a big sportsapalooza, not only for the rest of this week, but next week. And we'll see how far the Nuggets and the Avalanche take us. But with the Avs tonight, let's see if Gabriel Landeskog plays. I think that is going to be a story certainly to watch. But with that, how are you, my friend?
I am good and looking forward to it. Avs on center stage tonight all by themselves, which is kind of nice for them. They get to be the showcase. Will Gabe Landeskog, he came out for opening warmups and was on the ice, was dressed out, and was a late scratch for game 2. Will he be activated for tonight? I think it's a huge question throughout Avs and where we are with that. But also, countdown to the NFL draft tomorrow night. Big stuff and a lot of things that the Broncos could do. So looking forward to it, as I always am.
I'll tell you what I find interesting about the NFL draft this time of year. It is smack dab in the middle of the NBA and the NHL playoffs. I'm not saying this doesn't happen in, all cities, or it happens in just a few cities. But we are very lucky here in Denver where we have 2 teams, and this has been going on for a little while, that are consistently in the playoffs. And unless you are, listening to a Broncos-only podcast, you listen to sports radio these days, and while there's a huge amount of interest in the Broncos draft, it's still very, very heavy Nuggets and Avs.
It is. I would agree. But I'm pretty sure the lead story tomorrow is going to be the Broncos in the first round.
Not talking about tomorrow. I'm talking about over the last 3-4 days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you've got 2 teams in the playoffs. You've got one team that you think can make a deep run in the playoffs. Both teams won their opening games. I can understand that. There's a little momentum created there. You've got superstars on both. I mean, you've got the best player. Well, you've got the reigning Hart Trophy winner on one side. You've got the reigning MVP on the other side. So you've got a lot of star power, no question, for both the Nuggets and the Avs. They need to live up to it.
All right, so if you're going to watch the Avs game tonight, I have a great place where you should watch it. You should go to Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch or in the DTC. It's always a party there, and here's the reason why. The owners, Judson and Jeremy and John, they are huge Avs fans. Huge Avs fans. So much, in fact, Judson, I'm not sure if Jeremy went. Judson went to go see Landeskog play up in Loveland. That's how big a fan he is. He was at game 1 in Dallas. So there's always something special going on there because they are a big Avs bar, along with, a big bar for soccer. They're big fans for that. And I'm talking about over the pond, UFC, rugby, all the major sports. Menu is outstanding. And I have something for you if you do decide to go there sometime. The Brussels sprouts are amazing. I know you're vegetarian, so I thought you might enjoy that.
I love me some Brussels sprouts.
But they're great. Cheese curds, you're a vegetarian, you can have. They are great. All different kinds of burgers. They have something for you, Bruce. Outstanding wings as well. All different kinds of sauces. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill, you can find them in the DTC. You can find them in Highlands Ranch and coming soon to Parker. Time now for the lead.
The Lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it's one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue in Denver, Lyons, Longmont, Estes Park, and
NFL Network's Ian Rapoport, a pretty reputable guy, went on KOA radio on Monday, said he does not expect the Broncos to move up for a running back, but he said he could see them trading up for a wide receiver. I don't even know where this is coming from, Bruce, to be perfectly honest with you. Sean Payton has been very clear since the combine, even before that they are good with the wide receiver room. They desperately need a running back. They need a tight end more than I think they need a wide receiver just because of the youth portion of it. So Rapoport is a reputable guy, but even he said in his report, I have no factual basis at all to back this up. This is not sourced at all. This is just my opinion. So when you throw out something like that for a guy who people look to for source and fact-based reporting, I think you just lead people down a road that you should not lead them down if you have that type of cred.
It gives us fodder, though, for a few minutes here on the show to start things off with. Wide receiver is not a road that I've heard a lot of them about the Broncos going down. Every now and then you hear someone talk about a wide receiver, but it doesn't seem to jibe with their needs. Now, understanding that you can do anything in a draft to get yourself better, and maybe that's where you start. But I think that we have some very clearly defined goals from the Broncos, who, by the way, have not shied away from talking about them. Neither Peyton nor Peyton, Sean or George, have shied away from running back. They have readily talked about running back in general ways, right? The description of the type of running back that they'd like to have. They obviously would like to have a 3-down back. They would obviously like to have a running back coming out of college that's a little bit more proficient or naturally set up to be good in pass protection. Frankly, I think if they don't use the pick on a running back, I would look for defensive tackle, something like that, where, remember, they've got 3 guys, I think, coming up on contract at defensive tackle, essentially 3 technique, that where they need to probably build their depth a little bit. And this is another deep draft for defensive linemen. So if they're going to go away from a running back, I probably would look there before I would a wide receiver. Could they draft a wide receiver? Will they draft a wide receiver in this draft? But I think probably. Why not? I mean, I think they probably would. I tend to agree with you. I think tight end is a much more pressing need. I don't want to say much more pressing need, but a bigger need. I would think defensive tackle, but running back remains the focal point. And I think that even into tomorrow night, around 9:00 when they are expected to be on the clock, I think we're going to be speculating about which running back they're going to take.
Here's another way to put it in perspective. There have been multiple teams, and multiple reports on those teams that have said that a player drafted between number 10 and number 32, same quality. This draft is considered by many to be seen as maybe 12 deep. After that, you can go about, 20, 25 picks. It's not that it is the same guy, but it's basically the same quality. You understand what I'm saying? Is that right? I do.
Yep, absolutely.
And then you go to the second round through the fourth round. That seems to be the meat of the draft. So again, going back to this report, why would the Broncos trade up if there are only 10 or 12 picks that are considered elite, give up draft capital to get a position that they feel good about? It doesn't make any sense on a lot of levels. But with that, let me just sum it up and be as totally unprofessional as I can about this. So everything that we've just said, I'm going to sum up in one sentence. Ian, there is a better chance of the Broncos trading up to draft a wide receiver than me eating a dozen apples and shitting a fruit salad. That's it. That's all I got for you. That's as professional.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, Johnny Appleseed would appreciate your reference. So there you go. You've got that going for you. I think a wide receiver to me seems not very realistic at this particular point. I've heard it every now and then, and I wonder where it comes from, especially considering what Sean Payton in particular has been talking about really since really during the season and certainly at the end of the season as where he is with this wide receiver room. I don't think if you're going to go with a McMillan out of Arizona or a Golden out of Texas, something like that. Okay. I mean, but it doesn't seem to me to be a pressing need. They do have a pressing need in this draft. Let's not forget that. They have a pressing need for a running back, period. That is not going to change. The only thing that changes possibly is, can you, as you just laid out, the value from 12 down basically becomes all the way through the second round. You're basically getting kind of the same guy, right? But if you find a guy somewhere in that vicinity and you can move down a little bit and still be confident that you can get that guy that you're looking for, a Travion Henderson would be my guess from Ohio State, but we'll see how that plays out, then fine. If you can add a pick or two and move down a little bit, still be assured that you can get the guy that you want, fine. I don't know about that, but moving up to get a wide receiver, it just doesn't feel like where they need to be.
Let me throw something else at you. Peter Schrager, who just went from the NFL Network to ESPN, respected guy as well, came out with his mock draft today. Only does one. He has the Broncos at 20, taking the wide receiver out of Ohio State and passing on Omari Hampton. Mario Hampton, he has going 24th to the Vikings. I suppose it's like, like Crest toothpaste, where you have 4 out of 5 dentists recommend. Who is that fifth dentist holding out? Who is it?
Who is that guy?
I understand you don't want to copycat everybody else, but why are you going rogue just to be different when it doesn't make any sense?
Well, it might make sense to him, but then baking soda and water might make sense to him to clean your teeth with, because that's what that fifth dentist or dental hygienist is probably using. I don't know, Eric.
Bruce, you know what it tells me? It tells me you have a great national perspective. You have that 5,000-foot view because you talk to all the teams, but you don't have any boots on the ground to see what's actually going on. Haven't you been listening to what Peyton has said? Now, you could make the case, don't always listen to what they're saying, because when their mouth is moving, they're probably lying. But then again, we are around this team enough to know, and we were around this team enough to know, I believe in 2017, the Broncos were going to select an offensive tackle, and we knew it was probably going to be Garrett Bowles. This draft is as obvious as that one was.
Yeah. And last year it was obvious they were going to pick a quarterback. I mean, so yes, there seems to be clearly defined need at the top of the pecking order. How the Broncos go about getting that could be interesting. A wide receiver seems to be something for me that I wouldn't anticipate being in the first round mix.
Right. With that, Adam Schefter, this is his reporting, and I won't disagree at all because I've heard this from a lot of people and I've read this from a lot of people. Cam Ward, expected to be the number 1 pick. Many believe he would have been the 7th quarterback taken in last year's draft. So if he's number 7, would you really be as safe to say that Shedeur Sanders would be number 8? We'll get into Shedeur Sanders in just a minute. But with that, how much, because usually there's a run on quarterbacks, how much do you think this is going to affect who the Broncos might be able to take in the draft? We had 6 quarterbacks last year go in the first 12 picks. You might only have 1 quarterback go before the Broncos pick. And you certainly want a lot more quarterbacks to go because desperate teams do silly things.
Yeah, and it has the effect of pushing players with higher grades down the first round chart. Don't know if it's going to be applicable to a team in the 20 hole. Not sure that that the Broncos gain anything by that, especially in what it doesn't look like it's going to be a very quarterback-heavy first round. So you get back into the whole thing of it's just the type of player and the type of talent that you've done due diligence on that makes the best sense for your fit. And I'm sure that the Broncos have an idea about who that person is, because another thing they talk a lot about, Eric, and you and I both know this because we're out there all the time, is character, work ethic, fit. Are you fitting into the type of puzzle that they're putting together out there? Are you the type of, do you have the type of work ethic? Are you going to be a good teammate? All of those things sound silly because we're talking about professional football, but this is a priority for the Denver Broncos, and it's worked for them well to this point. So then you begin to get into, and I don't have, I mean, I get into obviously talent levels and what they bring to the table, but I don't know about guys and what kind of teammates they really are. That's the kind of stuff that you get from interviews, talking to people, one-on-ones and things of that nature. I don't have that benefit, but I have a pretty good sense for the type of player that they're going to go after, the type of position they're going to go after. And I think that they are in a very good spot. And Sean said this the other day. If you're going to be 20, you're in a pretty good position to be in 20, because everything from, like you said, 10, 12, 13, whatever it is, all the way to the end of the second round is pretty much similar grades across the book. So what's the right fit for you and your football team?
Coming up after the break, it started with Shedeur Sanders is going to be drafted third by the Giants. Then it went to, Shedeur Sanders is probably going to be drafted number 9 by the Saints. Then it became the Shedeur Sanders is going to be drafted number 20 by the Steelers, or 21 by the Steelers. With a recent report, he may not be going 21 either. We'll tell you what that report is next. Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a Ford Bronco Raptor or nearly $30,000 in cash the weekend of May 23rd. Get finalist entries from 10 a.m. until midnight during their daily cash drawings every 45 minutes or by redeeming player points. And all daily cash drawings that don't get picked are eligible for a second chance drawing on Wednesdays, and that can turn into extra cash. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar. And welcome back. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, I'm not suggesting that teams do not want to draft Shedeur Sanders. He is going to go somewhere. He will be a first-round pick, maybe a second-round pick. I think anybody would sell the right leg to be a first-round pick or a second-round pick in the draft. But it looks like now two teams who need quarterbacks are avoiding Shedeur Sanders, potentially. Let's start it off with the Giants. Who do they bring in during the offseason? Russell Wilson, right? And they also brought in another pretty good quarterback, at least as a backup, in Jameis Winston. At the beginning of this whole process, right after the NFL season ended, it seemed like Shedeur Sanders would easily be a top 5 pick. Now, with everything that I'm reading, New Orleans, they'd rather take somebody else, maybe not even a quarterback. But if it is a quarterback, it may not be Shedeur Sanders. Now, this morning, Diana Rossini of ESPN is reporting the Steelers are very interested in trading for Kirk Cousins. They go after Kirk Cousins and they get Kirk Cousins, and Cousins has to approve that trade. I mean, I don't think there is much that is going to shake Shedeur Sanders' confidence. But honestly, if I'm looking at teams that need quarterbacks and these teams are bringing in veterans because they don't want you, I don't know. And by the way, if the Steelers trade for Kirk Cousins, they're not
the most interesting storyline. The most interesting story in this draft, without question for me, is the stock of Shedeur Sanders. Where does he end up going? Who does he end up going to? How far does he fall before he gets there? Does he fall at all? Is all of this stuff that we've been hearing nothing more than posturing and smoke and mirrors and all the crap that goes along with it? And at the end, will we just say, oh, okay, that ended up being much ado about nothing? So I'll ask you, either where there's smoke, or is this just all the natural gobbledygook that comes with a strong personality in a key position like quarterback? I don't know which one it ends up being, Eric. I don't really even have much of a feel for it. I have a feel for Shedeur Sanders. I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback at the next level. I don't know what his time frame is to get to that, but I think that he's going to be a pretty good pro quarterback. But I'm not sure about that. And I think it's easily the biggest story of the first round from a national perspective.
Well, as Dion said about his son and his jersey being retired, has to do with the last name on his jersey. Well, this whole draft talk has to do with the last name on his jersey. There are a lot of factors that go into it. There are serious concerns about Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback in the NFL. He also has some great upside as well. He is, for lack of a better phrase, a guy who understands the game really, really well. He is a guy who could sit down with Sean McVay with the Rams, and they would have a great conversation. Okay? He has that type of acumen when it comes to playing the position. What's the worry? The worry is he gets sacked a lot, and that has to do with processor. He's not considered to be overly athletic, but he does get sacked a lot. And I know people will say, well, it has to do with the offensive line. Offensive line plays a role in it, but it is a serious concern. To me, I look at Shedeur Sanders and I see Russell Wilson. That's what I see. I see a guy who likes to play hero ball, a guy who takes a lot of sacks. One guy is incredibly confident. The other guy, talking about Russell Wilson, is very confident, but it can become nauseating as well. There's nothing about Shedeur Sanders when I listen to him talk where I say, ooh, like I do with Russell Wilson. To me, so it depends on what team he goes to. Think about this for a second. Wouldn't it make sense for him to go to the Raiders with Pete Carroll, who coached a similar quarterback, Russell Wilson? So I think there were some challenges with other teams that Shedeur had the attitude like, I don't even know if I want to go to you. I mean, I'm going to read a report from Albert Breer in which he wrote, if Shedeur gets past the Giants at 3, I'm not sure what happens next. I'd be pretty surprised if the New Orleans Saints took him at 9. After that, maybe it's Pittsburgh at 21. And now we just talked about the Rossini report. If the Steelers pass, Shedeur could fall out of the first round altogether. It's fascinating to see how all of this will play out. To his credit, I have heard he's been more modest in the past couple of weeks with teams. Early on, some got the impression he was trying to steer his way to certain destinations. He overplayed his hand.
Well,
and now he's finding out quickly. Don't tell me about the Giants flying out to Boulder. Please don't give me that nonsense. Ooh, they're really interested in maybe trading up. They flew everywhere that week. They flew to all kinds of different locations in last year's draft for all these quarterbacks. This wasn't like doing something special for Shedeur. They did this for all of the top quarterbacks, not just him in that same time frame the week before the draft.
You and I know the ultimate truth serum is the NFL. The NFL invests heavily in terms of time, energy, money, future, all of these things, and especially on a quarterback. So the most honest reflection of where Shedeur Sanders really is in this day and age is coming tomorrow night. Will he be picked in the first round? We've already talked about the places that he would be if he's going to be picked. It would be most likely. We understand the Giants. We understand the Saints. We understand where the need for quarterback is, but is the fit right? Well, we're going to find out. Shedeur Sanders is this remarkable personality and skill. I mean, he hit 72% of his throws in college. The guy has great skill set. There is no debating that. Is it the right skill set in the moment for the NFL? Well, the ultimate truth, this isn't going to be personal. This is business. This is what the NFL is all about. It's all about business. Are you the best option to make me better and give us more value and chances to win? And that's the answer that we're going to get on what is the perception of Shedeur Sanders in the National Football League. To me, it's absolutely fascinating because I think, like you, my feeling is that Shedeur Sanders will be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. When? I don't know that. I don't know. I'm not sure when that happens. I know what he thinks. I think that he feels like you hit the ground running and he'll be great right from the start.
Okay. People are going to think that I'm Sanders bashing. And if you have a problem with it, tough shit. Because I'm going to tell you what I think. And what I'm saying is I'm not wrong. I can argue with you about this all day. I'm not wrong with what I'm saying. Here's the problem with Dion and Shedeur. Their mouth works faster than their brain. Both of them. Let's start it off with Dad. Do you believe us now? Do you believe in us now? Remember that line? Do you believe in us now after one win? Your mouth was working faster than your brain, Dion. I know what you've done, and you've been great for the university. You've been great for the program on so many different levels. But at that moment, your mouth was working faster than your brain. And quite frankly, you look like a jackass with a 4-8 record. Right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it was a tough start, no question.
Do you believe in us now? No, I don't believe in your 4-8 record. I believe that you have a chance to be better. I believe that you are building in the right direction. But you don't say, do you believe me now, when you showed through an entire body of work that while you are improving, you're not there. When you say, do you believe in me now, that tells me you're there, right? Not that you have the potential. Am I
Mhm.
not saying this the right way? Or I'll ask you. When you say, do you
No,
believe
no,
me?
I would
talking
agree.
about my
Yeah, yeah,
Am I talking about my potential?
yeah. I
Or
don't
am I
know.
telling you what I've done?
Well, yeah, and that was after TCU, and obviously, things changed.
But let me.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think what you're getting, I think what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think that they are acquired tastes
Well, hold on.
for some.
Hold on. But let me continue this train of thought.
Sure.
Deion's mouth worked faster than his brain after the TCU game. Shedeur thought he was a slam dunk top 5 pick. His father, Deion, hinted, and this was my favorite, that, well, I might have to step in if I don't think it's going to be a good fit for Shedeur. I might have to step in. His words, not mine. Step in. And then Shedeur probably walks into some team's facilities, chest puffed out, feeling all good about himself, wearing his watch, feeling all good about himself. Mouth worked faster than brain. You're not a top 5 pick anymore. You may not be top 10. You may not be top 20. I hope that you are. But the truth is this. Dude, you were ready to pronounce yourself one of the best quarterbacks in the draft, which you might be, but if you slide in the draft board, Daddy's not stepping in. I mean, where is Deion going to step in if he goes 22? He's going to step in where? Step in shit? Because that's what he's done. He has stepped in shit. Because honestly, when you have the choice to go where you – listen, let's look at Eli Manning. Eli Manning had the opportunity to make that kind of demand. John Elway had the opportunity to make that type of demand. Eli Manning, where was he drafted? Number 1. Is that right? John Elway, number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Shedeur Sanders, not 3.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get your choice of teams when you go 9. You don't get your choice of teams when you go 21. And now you have Deion saying, which I found to be comical. He said, well, he's kind of happy that maybe teams like the Titans, Browns, Giants, Raiders, and Saints, because they're looking for quarterbacks, I think that might be a good fit. Really? The Browns are a good fit? No, those are one of the teams, Deion, that you wanted to keep your son away from. The Giants, with their dysfunction, bringing in 2 quarterbacks, that's the type of team you want to keep your son away from. But now you don't have that choice anymore because he's not going to be a top 2, top 3 pick. Stepped in it. Got all full of themselves.
I think
that I'm going to be able to pick where I want to go. You're not anymore.
There was certainly. Yeah, well, and wasn't it last year that that Deion said that Travis and Shedeur would have been 1-2 in the draft? It would have been the first 2 players picked in the draft, and it's like, well,
right. Right.
Yeah, Travis Hunter's going to be. That's exactly right. I get the sense on Shedeur that the separation, he will always be. I mean, that obviously is a very strong, close-knit family, and that's a wonderful thing. Don't get me wrong. That's a wonderful thing. In terms of Shedeur and his development and where he goes as a player and as his own being, I think he is starting to at least show signs to me, just based on what I hear and what I see and what I listen to and read, et cetera, that he wants to be his own person in this process. And maybe Eric, and to your point, that maybe this is a good way for him to start. Maybe this is the best thing that could happen to him. Maybe this is an attention. This is a message from the very jump for the start of Shedeur Sanders that, hey, the road isn't always paved in gold. You got to get down. You got to ease on down the road, man. You got to make it happen yourself. And it's going to be Shedeur that rises or falls by himself with any team in the NFL because he's a quarterback. And he's got to rise to the level of being able to play well as a quarterback in this league. Dion can't say anything about that. It's all on Shedeur now.
Oh, Dion can talk plenty, and that should be the worry potentially of some teams. That Dion, with a microphone in front of his face all the time now, he's not going to even wait to be asked a question. If something happens with Shedeur in a game, or maybe he's benched, or maybe he's not starting, he might just bring it up. The thing is, with both of those guys, and listen, they're both very successful in their own right. And certainly Dion has a resume that any athlete would be envious of. And with what Shedeur has done in college, good for him at Jackson State, at Colorado. He is arguably the greatest quarterback in the history of Colorado. The problem is they get too far ahead of themselves. They take victory laps before the victory. Do you believe me now? Victory lap. Dion saying about Shedeur before the draft, I might have to step in if we're not happy where he might go. That sounds like a victory lap to me. I know I'm going to be one of the top picks, right? 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to determine where I want to go. And then Shedeur, according to some reports, has become more modest as the process has gone on because now he's realizing he is not the belle of the ball. There are other ladies that men would like to ask to the dance, and he might be the 20th, 21st, 22nd pick.
Well, if he is,
he has to jam down his throat.
Maybe it suits him better. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, nothing at this particular point would surprise me relative to Shedeur Sanders. But where he ends up and what that looks like is going to be the most interesting thing about Thursday night from a national perspective. Broncos fans aren't going to care about it because it doesn't affect them. I mean, yeah, he's right up the road in Colorado. You pay attention to it. I hope for good things for the young man. He's certainly proven himself, and he is a first-round worthy type of talent, and I hope good things happen for him. But what happens to him is going to be the story of the draft, and it's going to be the most accurate reflection of where the NFL thinks that he is. That is the ultimate truth serum. Look, teams miss all the time in the draft. Sometimes they're lucky. Sometimes they fall into something. Sometimes they swing and miss. Sometimes a guy gets by them that 2 years later they wish that they had. There's a lot of things that you can take from the NFL draft. But in the moment, Thursday night, that will be the most honest reflection of the value of Shedeur Sanders as he has had at any time in his career. Not Dad saying I'm going to be the first pick or me saying any team should want me. I am immediately going to make them better. I'm going to make them a winner. It's not about that. All of the scouting, all of the analysis comes to the fore on the night of the draft. It isn't always right, but it will be a pretty accurate reflection of what the NFL thinks about not just Shedeur Sanders, but a whole bunch of players that are going to be taken into the first round or that slip down into the second. It's very interesting.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl tonight. Avalanche against the Stars. We will talk about that tomorrow. And then, of course, tomorrow, the start of the NFL draft. Make the best possible day you can.